Let's say you have a fight with your girlfriend. You want to do the right thing. So you go to ChatGPT and you be like, this is exactly what happened. Tell me what to do. And you go, babe, I just want you to know I want to take full accountability and I care about this relationship. And she says, did you get this answer from ChatGPT? And you go, I did. How's that gonna go? Now, you did everything right, but what makes people beautiful is not that we get everything right, it's that we get many things wrong. And I think in the modern world we live in, we forget that.
Simon Sinek is back.
He's the visionary thinker inspiring millions to cultivate human connection,
find their purpose,
and overcome any modern-day challenges.
So with AI, do you think it really is cause for concern and deeper thought?
So I'm not in the AI business, but I am in the humanity business. And here's the problem that we never talk about. People keep telling us, life is not about the destination, life is about the journey. But when we think about AI, we only think about the destination. And its remarkable ability to write the book, paint the painting, solve the problem. But we forget the importance of doing the work yourself. And I think in our modern day and age, we have underrepresented the value of struggle. I am smarter, better at problem solving, more resourceful, not because a book exists with my ideas in it, but because I wrote it. That excruciating journey is what made me grow. But it's the same for love, friendships, conflict. And I think that we forget that we give up certain skills or abilities because of technology. But it's like saying AI will provide boats for everyone, except for the time there's a storm and you don't know how to swim. And unless we take personal accountability to teach and learn human skills, they will disappear. Sure, you can have an AI friend and trained, like the best psychologist to affirm you, the best listening skills that exist, but my ability to know what to do when my friend is struggling, my ability to function in the world or my ability to cope with stress. These very, very human skills are suffering.
So what are the other skills we need to equip ourselves with based on the way that the world is heading?
Two things. One is,
this has always blown my mind a little bit. 53% of you that listen to this show regularly haven't yet subscribed to the show. So could I ask you for a favor before we start? If you like the show and you like what we do here and you want to support us, the free, simple way that you can do just that is by hitting the subscribe button. And my commitment to you is if you do that, then I'll do everything in my power, me and my team, to make sure that this show is better for you every single week. We'll listen to your feedback, we'll find the guests that you want me to speak to, and we'll continue to do what we do. Thank you so much. Simon, good to see you again. What are you laughing at?
it's just familiar.
Familiar. It's so interesting because when I sit down to talk to you, you're one of the very few people that I don't come with a preconception as to what we're going to talk about. But I come with a feeling. And the feeling that I bring forth is the feeling of change and transition. I have lived for 32 years, but I don't think I can ever think of a time where the future has felt unclear, uncertain, scary, exciting, and I guess unknown. And I don't just mean with technology, but technology is one protagonist in the story, and there's many other social stories playing out, from politics to relationships to all of these things. So my first question to you, Simon, is what are those things? What are the biggest forces of changes that you see happening at the moment in all of our lives that you think we should probably talk about today?
That is a big question. And I think one of the mistakes we make, and this is in general, is we like things to be very neatly organized. We like them to be black and white, yes or no, right or wrong. And as you know, the world is messier than that. It is more nuanced than that. And nothing operates in a vacuum. Everything is connected to everything, especially in a world that's filled with this rising technology called the internet and this burgeoning technology called the social media. And desires and feeling like belonging become more and more important. We're struggling to find them. Loneliness epidemic, stress epidemic, suicide epidemics. These are all feelings of disconnection, lack of control, and loneliness. And so that only exaggerates our feeling of loneliness and despair and wanting more, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you add in AI. And now those feelings of insecurity are just exaggerated like crazy, right? So now I find AI, there's an irony to AI, right? So if you go back to the 70s and 80s, right, you had the rise of robotics. And so robots are now coming into our factories, and we're able to cut employees by dramatic amounts. And we put people out on the street who they worked in a factory, their father worked in a factory, their father's father worked in a factory. Like this is what they know. And they say, but these robots are changing, they're taking our jobs. And the ruling classes and the Wall Street classes and the CEO classes, they go, yeah, I know, technology. You're going to have to find a new skill. Reskill. That's what you're going to have to do, reskill. Okay, flash forward to AI. Here's where the irony comes in. Because the world is always, nature pours vacuum and life seeks balance at all times, right? Not always immediately, but it seeks balance at all times. It's always seeking equilibrium. Okay, so flash forward to AI. Now you hear the knowledge workers. It's the knowledge workers who are going, my job. It's the coders. It's the finance people. My job. The plumber is not worried about AI at all. The baggage handler at the airport cares zero about AI. And so maybe the right response is, it's the future, man. It's technology. Reskill, you know? Maybe become a plumber, you know? By the way, money's really good. You get to work for yourself if you want, you know? So I just find the pendulum kind of funny.
With AI, do you think it's overblown, or do you think it really is cause for concern and deeper thought?
The honest answer is, I don't know. Everybody falls on one side of the sky is not falling, Chicken Little, or the sky is falling and we're all going to die, right? The truth, like most things, is probably somewhere in the middle. But the real answer is I don't know, and neither does anybody else.
Yeah.
And it seems that we should have some sort of controls, because we didn't put any controls on the internet. They did put controls on the internet in China. Like, children don't have the same access to social media like kids do here. Europe has controls on the internet, and America doesn't. And we're the ones that seem to be suffering more because of the lack of controls on the internet. So I think some, and by the way, when people, talk about deregulation and no controls, I mean, they make us wear seatbelts in our cars.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing, we have speed limits, and it's for the greater good. And yeah, sure, your seatbelt's uncomfortable, but you'll get used to it. And it's fine, So I think the call for no reform is wrong. There are correct limits to keep things safe. I am fascinated by AI, both the benefits and the weaknesses of it. But it is revealing to me something more important than what other people are talking about, which is we're a results-obsessed society, right?
Yeah.
We care about output, we care about performance, we care about numbers, we care about final product more than anything, right? And when people talk about AI, they talk about its remarkable ability to write the symphony, paint the painting, write the book, write the article, solve the problem. It is, and by the way, the technology is incredible. I asked it only a few months ago to please take this and put it in the style of me. And it was fine. I did it with a friend of mine who's also an author, and we both did it for ourselves. We did it on each other. It was really fun. And it was fine. I don't think it was good. It gave me a good start, and I could edit it. I did it recently. We both did it. It was damn near flawless. It was scary good, right? Now, AI doesn't know the thing I'm thinking about. It doesn't know that the next book I'm going to write about is friendship. It doesn't know the point of view I'm going to have on friendship. If you ask it, what would Simon Sinek say about friendship? It's going to be why this and why that, So it's derivative, right? We know that. It's not original. We know that. But at the end of the day, the work is good. The symphony is good. The art is good. The article is good. The book is decent. It's getting better and better and better. But here's the problem that we keep not talking about. People keep telling us that life is not about the destination. Life is about the journey. That's what we keep being told, right? But when we think about AI, we only think about the destination. We only think about the output. We never think about the input, right? I can tell you that, and you and I can both say the same thing, which is I am smarter, better at problem solving, more resourceful, better at pattern recognition, not because a book exists with my ideas in it, but because I wrote it. The excruciating pain of organizing ideas, putting them in a linear fashion, trying to put them in a way that other people can understand what I'm trying to get out of my brain, that excruciating journey is what made me grow. And sure, you can have an AI friend, and that AI friend has been trained like the best psychologist to affirm you, the best listening skills that exist. Tell me about your day. That sounds difficult. Boy, it's hard being you. Oh my God, it's so great being you. Have you, it's an affirmation machine built by a for-profit company that wants you to stay on. Can't neglect that. But for the fact that nobody's learning how to be a friend. It'll feel good. You'll feel like you have a friend, but you're not learning to be a friend, right? And it's what made you a great entrepreneur is not that the company exists, is that you built it with your hands and you've got the scars to show for it.
Yeah.
It was when things went wrong and you were forced to fix them and think that now, when problems show up, you're quick, you're smarter. You're a much smarter businessman now than you were 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Because you did it. And I think what we're forgetting is that there's something to be said for, and by the way, I'm a fan of AI. I want AI to make things, but I would hate to lose out on becoming a better version of me. And I think that to really learn to grow, and by the way, I used to have a steel trap for phone numbers. I knew everybody's phone number. And then all of a sudden my phone, my PDA, I don't need to memorize a phone number anymore. I don't know most of the people that I love. I don't know their phone numbers. I type their name in, right? I just have to know their name. And so my brain literally went on strike. It said, fine. You no longer have the capacity to remember phone numbers, and I can't remember phone numbers to save my life, right? So we give up certain skills or abilities because of technology regularly, right? That's fine. I don't have a problem with any of those things because whether I can remember a phone number or not will not affect my relationships, my ability to function in the world, or my ability to cope with stress. But my ability to know what to do when my friend is struggling, my ability to know what to do when I have a fight with my spouse or my partner, my ability to know what to do when my boss yells at me but I don't want to escalate it, or my employee is acting out and I don't want to escalate it or fire them. Well, how do I resolve this? I've missed out on those skills. And simply asking AI, how should I resolve this thing? It'll give you an answer and it may work and you've learned nothing, right? And so it's the difference between, it's like saying AI will provide boats for everyone, except for the time there's a storm and you don't know how to swim. And I'm okay, use the boat. Also learn to swim. So I think there's something to be said for writing your own symphony, painting your own painting, building your own business,
It's so
writing your own book. Not for them, not for the output, for your personal growth.
Before I got here today, I was writing a post for LinkedIn, and I was trying to make the case that everybody using ChatGPT to write their emails, their social media posts, their investment pitches that I received is now making the internet feel really inauthentic, because people that I knew for many, many years are now sending me these perfect cookie cutter emails with words that I've never heard them use before.
Yeah, of course.
And so when I read it, my brain mentally discounts it as not being their opinion, not actually being them.
Yeah.
And when you feel like you're speaking to someone's AI, the meaning is gone. So I was writing this post about how actually now there's this premium on human written language. Like if you make a couple of mistakes and you use the old words, you don't use words like forged and robust. I'd like to forge a partnership with you, Stephen. Furthermore, can we? I'm like, you've never said that to me, mate. So
the end dashes.
Oh my gosh,
It's funny, right?
it's crazy.
Yeah. But you're talking about what you're talking about. Have you ever heard of the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi?
No.
So wabi-sabi is a Japanese design concept, which is beauty in that which is temporary or imperfect. Okay? So have you ever seen Japanese ceramics?
Yeah.
They're wonky, or the glaze is not even.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful. You know why? Because they're handmade. Tree bark, trees. When you have a wooden bowl, wood is beautiful. Why? It's imperfect, right? Unique. Things made on a machine are the same and less beautiful. And things made by hand are beautiful because they're imperfect. What makes people beautiful is not that we get everything right. It's that we get many things wrong. And what makes us fall in love is not the person who's perfect. It's the person who accepts our imperfections, and we know we're in love when we learn to accept theirs, not learn to want to, right? And you're 100% right. I now know in the art world, artists are being asked to sign affidavits that say, I painted this, I made this, not AI. Not because it's better or worse. It's because I want to know it was touched by human hands. And so I think you're right. What will happen is everything will be so perfect that it'll be as if we're all driving or using things that everything came off a conveyor belt. And what we will start to desire is things that are made by hand. Because, by the way, we think Rolls-Royce, Ferrari. It takes 39 months to get a Ferrari. You know why? It was made by hand. Right? And one of the things that makes it expensive is the technology and the carbon fiber and all that. But the other thing is it's slow and it was made by people.
Human error, the value of human error.
The value of human error.
Scooter Braun said to me the other day, he said, we could watch a computer play chess with another computer. He goes, but the chess games that have the highest demand are one human versus another, because when a computer plays a computer, the moves are predictable and they're the same and they're perfect. But it's the human error of two human chess players who are worse, objectively worse at chess, that makes it so fascinating.
Yes, that's any sporting event. Any sporting event. It's not the perfection of the game. It's the error that loses the game that adds the drama. And it's like trying not to make a mistake is as powerful as trying to get everything right. And it's the humanity of the sport, the humanity of the competition. It is the imperfection. And I think that we forget as people what makes us beautiful. Like when you go on a first date or a first interview, all you do is present perfection. Put on my best clothes, you know, dressed up. I don't dress like this every day. I dressed up on my date, right? My interview, I don't wear this. This is what I wore for my interview because I want to put out a good impression. And I practiced, and I make myself confident. I've got a great job and I've got a great personality and I love my mother and my goodness, everything's great. And then you get in the relationship, you get the job and you become a slob, right? This is what AI is. It's to your point, it's fake.
It's on the interview example, the minute you started describing that, I immediately flashed back to an interview I had last week in our company where a young kid walks in wearing a suit. And I thought, now I have no idea who you are, because I know that's not you. I know that you don't wear a suit. You're 22 years old. You do not wear a suit. So I have no indication. I have no clues as to who you are. And therefore, it's harder for me to figure out if you fit here. And I think because what he tried to do there was show up perfect, what he thought perfect was, and in some ways to hide who he actually was. Whereas this is why I like now on the internet sloppy text. I like grammatical mistakes.
But at the same time, you don't want him to show up and kick his shoes off and put his feet on the table either.
In the same way that
there's an element of respect you want, and you want somebody in a first interview to put on some effort. Now, too much effort is pretty inauthentic, but too little effort. What's that?
This is my diagram. You've got perfect on one end,
Yeah.
which is low, and then you've got poor, which is also low.
Yeah.
The sweet spot is right here in the middle.
Yeah, well, I think there's some truth to that. And so there's a level of, like it's the same thing as like we all want vulnerability in our relationships, but not on the first date. Like I don't need to know that quite yet,
What are the other skills that you think we need to equip ourselves with based on the way that the world is heading? Because we're, like the calculator came along and we no longer needed to be able to do complicated maths.
Yeah, completely forgotten my times tables.
I can't spell anymore. So if I said to my friends, the most I can do is 9 times 9. That's like the top end of my range. But with spelling, it's the same. I get like half the word correct now with AI, and it does the rest.
But again,
So what are those skills?
I think it's all human skills. I think
Human skills.
So I think where the world is going to go, and at least this is where I'm taking a bet, is that as the end product becomes easier to produce, it's the humanity that's going to suffer. And unless we take personal accountability, both as individuals and organizations, to teach and learn human skills, they will disappear for all the reasons we're talking about. So how do I listen? How do I hold space? How do I resolve conflict peacefully? How do I give and how do I receive feedback? Those are two different skills. How do I have an effective confrontation? You pissed me off. Do I know how to approach you as a friend, as a colleague, without creating a massive fight or losing a friendship over it? How to take accountability, how to express empathy. These skills, these very, very human skills, are the things that we're already starting to see just with the internet and social media are suffering. And so I think AI will only exaggerate the loss of those skills, and those skills are more important than learning how to spell.
One of the concerning things was I heard Sam Altman, who's the founder of OpenAI and ChatGPT, launch this thing called WorldCoin a couple of years ago when ChatGPT really started taking off. And it has been closely tied to the concept of universal basic income. The overarching idea is that in a world where AI and automation eliminate many jobs, UBI may be necessary. WorldCoin is one way to help implement it. That was stated by the founder of ChatGPT, Sam Altman.
Yeah. I'll go back to my ironic statement before. Isn't it ironic that they want to do a universal income, a standard universal income, now that the knowledge workers are losing their jobs? But when the factory workers were losing their jobs, those same people were massively against these kinds of things. So, I mean, yes.
What happens to purpose?
It's ironic.
And meaning if we're being, because for anybody that doesn't know what universal basic income is, the idea is the government, the state, whatever, would pay you a certain amount of money every single
minimum
month.
salary.
So $2,000, $3,000, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Because they don't think many of us are going to have, there's not going to be enough jobs to go around. And I wonder what happens to purpose and meaning and pursuit and challenge and all these things in a world where we're just being handed money.
So we're not being given wealth. There's a difference. We're being given survival money, right? And so, we have to be very careful that says, everybody who's on welfare is lazy. That's not true, So we have to be very careful that just because we give somebody something doesn't mean that they cease to have ambition or purpose or drive. It's like somebody who makes a commission salary, works on commission, and they make just enough to pay their rent and buy food, and that's it. Like that's a lack of ambition, The cases, at least the people I've heard talk about it, they make a compelling case for it, especially in a world where there is plenty of wealth. But I don't know enough about it to make an argument for or against it, if I'm honest. But I do find it ironic that the Sam Altmans of the world are calling for it, given the fact that there's going to be so many job losses when it's jobs of their kind. And I also think that's funny. What's going to happen when Sam Altman's product gets good enough that he can lay off most of his staff? Just curious what happens.
He has made a point of having, I think it's 100 people or less in his company. He doesn't have a big team. And I think part of that is because when I heard his TED Talk a couple of days ago, he's saying, I think AGI is sooner than we think, actually. And I think we're going to have a fast takeoff, which means it's going to arrive very quickly and accelerate very quickly. So I think he's actually preparing not to.
Yeah, but what happens to the 90 people he lays off when he doesn't need 100, he only needs 10?
This is the question.
I'm just curious. I don't know. And this is why anybody who has an opinion about it, the answer is we don't know. But I think people react very differently when it's their job on the line, when it's their income on the line, when it's their pride, when it's their ego. I keep hearing from companies. I mean, we were talking about this before we turned on the cameras. You talk to, if you want a new website, I guarantee you, I don't care which company you talk to, they will all talk about how they AI this, AI that, and you ask the question, are you using AI? Yes, we're using AI. We're doing it differently. We're the future, blah, blah, blah. And then you ask them for a proposal. It's going to look like all the other proposals from 2015, and this is how many hours it's going to take our people to program this and code this. And I was like, what happened to all the AI? Why is this slow and expensive when everything's supposed to be fast and inexpensive?
Because they're taking the margin.
Of course they're taking the margin. And they've got a lot of people doing things the old-fashioned way because the business model, people work very hard to predict. The status quo exists because there are people who benefit from the status quo. That's why there is a status quo. And it's, like I said, everybody's into change, the future, until it's them that's threatened, or their income.
The billionaires that I know, the one consistent thing they've whispered to me about AI is that people are going to have a lot of free time. That's one of the things that's been really consistent. You're so right when you say that. When I asked you about the future of AI, you said, I don't know. The reason why I know that's probably the correct answer generally is because when I sat with the most advanced people in AI, whether it's Mustafa, who's head of Microsoft AI, now CEO of Microsoft AI, or people from Google, or the CEO of Google, or Reid Hoffman, who's the founder of LinkedIn, they all had different opinions, which made me to think actually the right answer is nobody knows.
The right answer is nobody. That is correct. And you always be aware of the messenger, right? Like you won't have anybody who owns an AI company talking doomsday scenarios. It's not in their economic interest, even if they secretly harbor that. It's like people who used to run cigarette companies didn't smoke and they didn't let their families smoke. It's like I remember visiting Facebook in the earlier days, and I went into the cafeteria and they had like picnic benches, and I was like. And they were telling me with pride how they have these communal eating areas to help people maintain relationship. And I was like, this is hilarious. You literally have a product that breaks relationships, and yet you understand enough to make people eat together at lunchtime so that they'll maintain relationship. I mean, the point being, if your economic interest, show me how someone's paid and I'll show you how they behave, One
of the scariest conversations I was privy to was a friend of mine who's a billionaire in London. He knows the CEO of one of the biggest AI companies in the world, who I can't name. And he said, by the way, what he tells me in private is not what he's saying publicly.
Yeah.
He said to me that what this particular CEO thinks is going to happen with AI is pretty horrific. Mm-hmm. And the CEO of this big AI company is totally cool with it. It's horrific what he thinks is about to happen. And then when I watch this guy do his online talks and give his opinion, he's so nuanced and everything will be fine and he's an AI optimist. Then I heard this scenario at this kitchen table in East London from his friend about what he really thinks, and it was chilling.
Yeah.
Actually the lack of empathy.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
The obsession with power was shocking to me.
Yeah. The obsession with power and money and all the rest of it. Yeah. But this is because the internet has done something really strange and challenged one of my theories head on. Right? So I talk about in an infinite game, Jim Carse, his theory, in an infinite game, there's no winners or losers, right? And so nobody wins, fast food. Nobody wins cars. Like General Motors, Ford, Vauxhall, they can all exist at the same time, right? And they'll have degrees of success or not success, but they can all exist simultaneously. Nobody's going to win. The exception is in the internet. In the like Amazon, it won. Yeah. Google for search, yep, they won, right? And if you start going down the big tech companies, there is only one. I mean, sure, there's competition, but not really, right? Walmart is making a run of it to threaten Amazon, but Amazon's still so damn big, All of these companies, there's only one. And that's not good. That you can't have winners in a category. And so this is why I think the race for AI is so aggressive, for AI dominance is so aggressive, and which is why people are not being careful and which is why they're not putting controls, is because the way that tech seems to work is there probably will be one dominant standard and then that's it. And the question is which one? Because I don't think it just seems to be the way it is, which is a very scary prospect to me, that the fact that we can have winners is a bad thing, especially if we pride ourselves on being capitalists. Then there cannot be a winner, and there cannot be one that is so dominant that nobody else can even compete except for scraps.
What are your emotions when you think about AI and what's happening? Because I feel like the moment we're living in is a profound one, and that we don't actually realize it. Because when these tools come out, OpenAI released yesterday 3.0. It's the best model ever. The day after, my life was the same. So we don't really notice it because we go back to work, our clients ask for the same thing, we have the same team members sat around us. It almost seems like the sand timer is rotated and we're on a clock, and it's a slow disruption of our everyday lives. Sam Altman the other day on his TED Talk 3 or 4 days ago said, in the short term, everything will appear the same, but in the long term, he goes, life is going to be completely different.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, and look at any technology like AI, it was kind of the same until it wasn't. And these are evolutions, not revolutions. There's a revolutionary bit, I remember when the internet showed up and brick and internet shopping showed up, and all the technologists were like, it's the end of stores. It's the end of bricks and mortar. Done. We'll never go to a shop again. Well, that didn't happen. Now, shops struggle to compete against internet, but that's a price thing, right? That's a business model thing. Yeah. But we like going shopping because, again, all of these companies always forget, especially technologists, they all forget that the end user is a human being. And most of us don't fully understand everything. Even our iPhones, most people use a small percentage of all the capabilities of our iPhones. Most of us don't even know how to change the damn settings to make it do something we want, right? neither do your kids. It's not an adult thing, right? It's not an old person thing. And there's a few people who get more out of it, and good for them. Some people use it just as a phone, fine. And it's a bell curve. So I think there will be a few people and a few companies that will get more value out of these things than the rest of us. But I think he's right. I think there'll be a revolutionary bit, and then it'll settle. I find this whole thing fascinating. When you ask me how do I feel, depending on what subject I'm talking about, absolute fear and absolute amazement. I have both and everything in between. When I think about how it affects democracy and the ability to make deep fakes and how it can manipulate people and their opinions to vote one way or another, I have real fear.
Yeah.
Right? When it comes to productivity and the reshaping of business, technologists and people who were part of the internet revolution, they love to say, 20 years ago, 80% of the jobs we have now didn't exist. They love to say that, right? But when you ask them now, they seem to think that I think it's the same, which is all those people who are going to lose those jobs in white collar jobs and knowledge workers, they're not going to not work. There's going to be new jobs. The IRS digitized a whole bunch of years ago, right? They got rid of all the accountants and they put in all the computers, right? Do you know how much money the IRS saved when it completely changed the way it looked?
No.
The answer is zero. Yes, they got rid of all the accountants. They need to hire all the IT people. So the workforce looked different, but it didn't get smaller. And so I think it's the same thing. We already know the massive, incredible amounts of energy that it takes for AI to work. Data centers that use up massive amounts of electricity like we've never seen in our lives. Nuclear has to be a thing. There isn't enough coal or oil or solar or wind to power these things. It just doesn't exist. So nuclear has to be a thing. So go be a nuclear engineer. You want to get an advanced degree? I don't need you to be a coder. Coding was a thing go be a nuke. Because by the way, you got to be just as smart to be a nuke as you have to be so you're going to start to see that. You're going to see energy work. I just think the jobs will change. I don't think they're going to one thing I do disagree with, it's not like you're going to be a bunch of people walking around bored. I just think the jobs will change.